All right, welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily and Also Curious. We have a lot to talk about today, including previewing just minutes from now. We're going to be talking about Jimmy Kimmel going up, and it's going to be interesting. So, what has led up to today's return? We'll give you guys an update there. What's going on behind the scenes leading up to the show going on air? And of course, we have to talk about James Gunn's latest update on the casting for the new DCU Batman. Including a potential star that has already expressed interest publicly, but he may not be the one you're thinking of. And then, of course, Spider-Man has cast a new villain for the brand new day movie, on top of the many other characters we already know about, and so much more to get into all that, and probably more even beyond that. Let's get into it, shall we, with the news.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, Mr. I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne. I like that. And you're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see Cole.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the needs now?
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
All right. Okay. Well, it's time for the news. Right off the top, we've got a few really important things to talk about today, and I know a lot of you guys are counting down to, if you are interested in watching a particular late night TV show today. Of course, we are, I guess, a late night TV show if you're on the East Coast. John, how are you doing today? How was your afternoon, and what are you most excited about on today's show?
I'm excited to talk about the season finale of Alien Earth. Definitely have a lot to say about that. So getting ready for the show. Had a good afternoon, so ready to hit it. hit these broads. What? I mean, no.
What? Oh, wait. Whoa. We're getting it canceled right off the top.
Bad joke.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to start off with...
Got my jelly beans.
Sad news before we get into the Jimmy Kimmel preview, and we'll get into that. Right, they're about to go live in about 20 minutes or less from, if you're watching us live, literally the countdown is on. It's less than 20 minutes from when Jimmy Kimmel makes his return. The highly anticipated for whichever reason, whether it's good, bad, or the ugly, depending on where you stand on the whole situation. But before we get to that, there was some sad news today. Claudia Cardinale, she was, as they say here in the Hollywood Reporter, the enchantress of Italian cinema. She passed away today at the age of 87. As they say here in the byline, I think this is really impressive because for a lot of us, we might have never heard of the name, but some of us might remember her from a few movies that were iconic beyond just Italian cinema. Of course, as they say here in the Hollywood Reporter, she was shuttled between sets in 1963 to make Visconti's The Leopard and Fellini's 8.5. Then starred first, of course, Sergio Leone and Once Upon a Time in the West. She was a big star from back in the day. I think for most people today, unless you have a deep back catalog of movies that you've been watching, or if you're a big fan of vintage cinema by today's standards, you probably did not hear of Claudia Cardinale, John. And then if Oh, did you lose me there for a second?
Yeah, you kind of. I don't know. I was like, I didn't want to say anything in case I was lost.
I'm back.
Lost for a bit. Okay,
I'm back. Okay, I was just saying, even back in the day, she was a big star. Obviously, a beautiful actress and a talented one at that. Movie Spud, for example, remembers her. I've seen her in 8.5 and Once Upon a Time in the West Movie Spud. Exactly, two of her more well-known movies. Tony, for example, had not heard of her at all. Speaking of which, we got Tony and Movie Spud in here. Figure Drawing is in the chat as well, and we have Ema Nerd Girl was here earlier as well. So with that in mind, I mean, like I mentioned, Pink Panther 8.5, Once Upon a Time in the West. Claudia Cardinale, John, passes away at the age of 87. A lesser known name than somebody like a Gene Hackman, but how would you remember her I'm sure you've seen at least one of those movies that I've just mentioned.
I don't think I have. I have 8.5 and Once Upon a Time in the West on my list. I have not seen the original Pink Panther, but she lived a good long life, so that's something, and would all be hoped for. So very sad to see, but definitely she left her impact on cinema 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's gonna be missed. I mean, of course, I don't believe she was really active for the last little while, but she made an impact, like you said, John, on the world of cinema and movie making. So, well, with that said, okay, Tony, by the way, correcting himself, I didn't hear of the news of her passing until now. Definitely watched her movies in the past. There we go. Awesome. Thank you for clarifying, Tony. Let us know in the comments down below, guys, what you think about Claudia Cardinelli's work, and of course, how do you remember her now that she has left us and at the age of 87? With that in mind, now let's switch gears. We got to talk about the biggest news of the day that has been the biggest news of the past week, seemingly. And usually we don't get into politics. This news is very entertainment, movie, TV related. So I think it ties in well with what we usually talk about on the show. And that's why we spent a lot of time on it yesterday. We spent a lot of time on it last week. But John, of course, we are, as of right now, less than 15 minutes away from Jimmy Kimmel Live returning to the air on ABC. And with that, let's talk about where things stand. Of course, here, you probably want to pause that video clip there, but there was this report. This is from the Daily Mail. This was coming in literally hours ago leading up to the show going live today. Apparently, chaos was ensuing backstage. And the headline is a little bit of a clickbait, but if you go down here in the article, John, they kind of point out that a lot of the staffers weren't really, I guess, notified that the show was returning when the announcement was made by Disney. And so they sort of got to hear that from the producers pretty late on in the process. But basically, once they were told, oh, yeah, the show's back tomorrow. Like, you haven't been at your job for a week, but come on back. We're doing it. And not only that, I mean, well, the producers kind of clamped down on that conversation, on all that, uproar for the most part, according to this report. However, John, if you scroll down here, the staff have reportedly threatened to walk out of the show if Jimmy Kimmel in his monologue happens to either retract what he said before, or basically kind of walks back his comments in any way, or issues an apology for what, according to this article, the staff feels was he did nothing wrong, and because the writing staff as well as everybody else on the team, kind of, it's a team effort really when you're producing a show like this. They were like, look, if he walks it back, it's not just about him, it's a reflection of us, and we're not going to stand for it. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here. However, according to an insider who was quoted in this report, and again, Daily Mail, take it for what it's worth. I wouldn't take it word for word, and that's the most legitimate thing ever. They said, look, nobody knows what Jimmy's going to say. They're keeping their lips sealed shut in terms of what the monologue tonight is going to be about. So we'll just wait and see how things play out in like I said, minutes from now. But with that said, John, what are your thoughts initially on what Jimmy Kimmel is about to say? His monologue is certainly going to be watched by millions of people, or a lot more people than usually would be watching him. Even from a week ago, on the episode that he said the things that got him suspended in the show, preempted indefinitely. I feel like today way more people will be watching than they were a week ago.
I mean, yeah, I have a feeling he might grovel a bit. It definitely seems like that's the way he might go, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm very intrigued with what would be said tonight, even though I'm not gonna watch it until like it gets uploaded to YouTube or something like that. But I'm very intrigued with how this is gonna play out.
Yeah, no, same here. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to throw on a little vest because I felt cold. But hey, and that's not meant to be a double entendre. Anyway, John, let's keep on going here because we want to talk about a little bit of what's going on around this return, right? Yesterday we talked about how pretty much almost immediately after Disney said they're bringing the show back, we heard that Nexstar and Sinclair were gonna preempt the show, meaning like if you were in a market where your local ABC station is owned by either Nexstar or Sinclair or even Tegna, they will basically not show the show. Like they will throw in some other programming. They might give you an extra hour of local news. So in this article, John, they basically talk about, and I'll just TLDR it. There's agreements where the local affiliates and the national stations, aka ABC in this instance, and the parent company Disney, they usually have agreements where yes, you can preempt, the local station can preempt your programming for a certain amount of time or a certain number of times, but eventually they'll have to bring the show back because the standoff can't last forever. And really, what's sitting under the surface here is Tegna and Nexstar have this big $6+ billion merger coming up that the FCC has to approve, and they have to make an exception to some important rules that they have in place for over 20 years or almost 20 years. And if they don't approve it, then obviously that's a lot of money that's on the table that Tegna and Nexstar will lose, especially Tegna, because Tegna is the one being acquired by Nexstar in this instance. So basically they wanted to make a lot of noise and fervor and be like, look, FCC, we are with you, or like with your political leanings, and therefore can we now get the merger done? So the idea here is this standoff will probably end sooner than later. However, John, for all of you guys watching, if you're wondering, what if I'm in a market where Jimmy Kimmel Live won't air on my ABC network, my local ABC affiliate? Let's take a look, John. I think we have an article here talking about where it's not going to be shown and where it will be available. So let's see if we can dive into that, because there are some big markets. 6 of the top 20, 6 of the top 30 markets in the U.S. will not see it. If you go up to that paragraph, Salt Lake City, Utah, for example, Washington, D.C., Seattle, Tacoma area, Portland, Oregon, St. Louis, Missouri, Nashville, Tennessee. These are all markets that will not be seeing Jimmy Kimmel tonight in literally a few minutes from now. So, and Eco Rich is there. Hi, Eco Rich. Yes, exactly. Well, Sinclair is also generally, very conservative, have always been, and they've got a deal that went through recently, and they have plans to expand and acquire more stations too. So Sinclair, Nexstar, Tegna are all looking for essentially favorable outcomes from the FCC. So, but John, if you keep scrolling here, for example, whereabouts you are, John, the local ABC station happens to be owned by Tegna, and if you keep scrolling here, I think there's a list of options, a list of networks. So just quickly, these are the Nexstar networks, including let's stay at the top. I just wanted to kind of list off a few, like Richmond, Virginia, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Hartford, New Haven, Connecticut. You've got Erie, Pennsylvania, Albany, New York, Binghamton, New York. I have actually got friends and family up in upstate New York, so some of them will not be seeing it. If you keep scrolling down from here, John, we have not only Nexstar stations like Syracuse, the local ABC station there won't show it. Utica, New York, a lot of stations in the Northeast, and you have some out west. You have Sioux City, Louisiana as well, Youngstown, Ohio, and then Sinclair, like I mentioned earlier, John. We have a list of their stations. They have a lot of Ohio and Texas stations, Georgia, Mobile, Alabama. You got Eureka, California, Dayton, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Chattanooga, Tennessee. There's Portland, Oregon, one of the ones owned by Sinclair, St. Louis, Missouri, Seattle, I mentioned earlier, Rochester, New York, Washington, D.C. That's the biggest market. Nobody in the capital is going to see Jimmy Kimmel live on a local
I don't think
affiliate.
they were watching it anyway, to be fair. So.
So between all of these places, now here's the thing. If you can't watch it there, you could still, John, you mentioned earlier, Jimmy Kimmel's YouTube channel has over 20 million subscribers. So you could go see it there. You could potentially go watch it there. However, they don't usually upload the clip, the monologue, and all the other things until the day after, because of the deals they have with the local affiliates, that when it airs live for the first time, it's only going to be available live. And if you have YouTube TV, that's another way you can see it, because with YouTube TV, you can set your home area to be something different than one of the markets where this is going to get preempted. So all that to say, John, Jimmy Kimmel will be live. It is live now. It started up now. So if you guys are watching it, we're going to keep an eye out for it as well. But some of you guys might not be able to see it. There's ways around it. It's going to be available on Hulu tomorrow if you guys want to wait a little bit. So with that, John, just to quickly talk about what you can expect on the show today. Now that Jimmy Kimmel's on the air, the guests today are going to be Glenn Powell and Sarah McLachlan. If you remember, Sarah was one of those celebrities we talked about yesterday. She canceled a performance to support free speech for Jimmy Kimmel just a few days ago. There was an ABC event that she was going to be taking part in. So Glenn Powell, of course, the bigger name of the two. And overall, just a reaction to this leading up to tonight. You've had a lot of condemnation. And John, if you kind of skip ahead a little bit, I know we were going to talk about potentially the international writers and just the former writers of the show itself. Their reactions don't matter as much because now the show's on air. Jimmy Kimmel's mindset today was just kind of remembering Norman Lear. Norman Lear back in the day ended up on Nixon's, infamous enemies list. So I guess, Jimmy Kimmel making the comparison like, hey, now I'm in a similar situation with the president of the United States today. And Norman Lear certainly, always kept standing up and, did not just walk away like, I'm not going to fight the president of the U.S. on, at least on the free speech aspect of things. Like nobody's saying that Jimmy Kimmel is going to directly, unless he does, it's going on right now, the monologue, like directly throw jabs at the current administration. But that was where Jimmy Kimmel's mindset was earlier, remembering Norman Lear, really missing him. He was really close to him. They collaborated on a lot of projects, including a show on ABC that used to be like a live performance of sitcom episodes that Norman Lear used to star in back in the day. So he would have probably appreciated, a call with him for some advice tonight. So with that said, John, the bad timing of Disney continues because while they're trying to dig their way out of one PR nightmare, they've got another one on their hands because now they've got their fourth price hike in 4 years coming up. And talk about bad timing, John. Talk about bad timing. If you go to the website where Disney lists out all their prices, you've got a chart here. Basically, all the prices across the board for the many different bundles, as well as just the basic Disney Plus plan, are going up from $2 to $3 a month each. So if you have, for example, the Disney, Hulu, ESPN premium bundle, you currently pay $27 a month. And starting in October, literally a week from now, or actually a month from now, you're going to be paying $30. So that's going up by $3. A lot of these other bundles are going up by basically $3 across the board for the most part. There's very few bundles here where you're not getting a price increase, such as the ones with the new ESPN.
Bro, the fact that the most expensive thing is $45 and you still got to do shit with the ads is hysterical.
Right? It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. Not only that, John, if you go to the next article, leading up to Jimmy Kimmel's return or the announcement of his return, the Disney Plus cancellation page was crashing as people were rushing to quit. And so Tatiana Maslany's
I mean, that's pennies to them, to be fair,
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing. Ultimately, these price hikes won't, unless they do drive literally tens of millions of people away, overall, they'll still see a higher level of revenue because, yeah, sure, if like a few million people leave, that's churn. But if you still keep 90% of your subscription base, now they're paying more and therefore you're making more money. So in that sense, I think Disney's making that calculus, as a lot of streaming services do. So what are your reactions to just the whole price hike coming at this time? Like, you gotta know, like, the PR department in Disney's gotta be like, okay, we're kind of knee deep in this one nightmare. Do we really need to add on top of it? I mean, it's gonna be one of those things where can they catch a break? Like, Disney just seems to be digging themselves a hole right
now. It's just funny. It's just the world's biggest comedy show at this point.
Yeah, it's like I think literally this week, and I'm not saying Walt Disney was like perfect human being by any means, but wow, like I really think like with all these issues, like nightmares, PR nightmares, not the issues, PR nightmares, ethical, moral nightmares that they've created for themselves in recent years, that he must be rolling in his grave. But yeah, Well, Eco, are you in a market where Jimmy Kimmel's Live is airing for you? Because you can take a listen to it and let us know what's going on. We're gonna try to update you guys once the monologue is done. I've got Jimmy Kimmel up on the side, so I'll keep an eye out, and we'll talk about it in a few minutes time. So, but. Yeah, Josea's here in the chat saying crazy that it wasn't mediocre Marvel or Star Wars shows that made people rush to cancel Disney Plus. It was Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah, and you were of course not in America, Hosea. So yeah, it's from the outside looking in. Here's the thing. This is where actually, John, if you go back to the other article from talking about how all this news has gone down internationally, it's very different with in terms of like, yes, like the whole thing with the value, the cultural relevance of late night TV in America is completely different than in other parts of the world. Like many late night shows in Europe and the UK, for example, they were just like, this doesn't happen to us. Like this is we're too small to cancel because like their rate. I mean, we talk about how the ratings for Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and Stephen Colbert, like they're all bad compared to what they used to be, which a lot of it has to do with the streaming era today, I think, and just audience taste changing. Their equivalents across the pond get far less viewers by comparison as a whole. So it's they're like, we're just not as culturally relevant, and even when they do satire and political satire, even it doesn't have as much of an impact on the national conversation. Whereas you could tell in America, that's very much not the case. And on the outside looking in, there, one of the hosts was saying, "Look, it's a summary of almost all of America's problems." Just the vulnerability of U.S. political comedy to political interference. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, there's certainly a kernel of truth to that, John. What do you think?
Yeah, that about sums it up. And
pretty much.
Spoiler alert: most of us don't like it either. So
nope. Nope. It's it's definitely like
I swear, like we're gonna like reach a point where it's like the beginning of Southland Tales or some shit. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah, it is wild. By the way, right before Jimmy Kimmel went on air, the president made another threat to go after ABC, as basically it's calling them again fake news. I can't believe ABC fake news gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back, which I'm like, okay, cool. Nothing.
All right, pathetic crybaby, just fucking co-parter, you fucking loser. Jesus fucking Christ.
But like I said, we're gonna come back around and actually talk about what Jimmy Kimmel said. By the way, I do love Graham Norton, Tony. I think the way he goes about his show is so much fun. Like he just immediately gets into conversations, and it's all about just sit down and talk and tell amazing stories that nobody else has heard of, or the way actors are able to open up. You can tell they're comfortable on the couch. So. And Figure Drawing agrees with you, John. Look at that. That's good. By the way, to kind of finish off this Jimmy Kimmel Live return conversation for now, like I said, we're going to do a follow-up later in the show talking about what Jimmy Kimmel said on the show, because that's happening as we speak. So with that said, yeah, I did see, by the way, the president harping at the UN saying some really weird things that needed a lot of fact-checking. But anyway, John, there are some other fallout elements from the Jimmy Kimmel Live, not only suspension and return, but the whole reason why that happened is because of that conservative speaker, Charlie Kirk, who was murdered, which was absolutely just a terrible thing. It doesn't matter where you are on the political aisle. Like, it just doesn't matter. You shouldn't be getting gunned down at a public event where you're speaking. Like, that's terrible. But as a result of that, remember that show that Apple had put together, literally a few days away now from its release, from its premiere, The Savant, starring Jessica Chastain. They just postponed the show. Like they put out a statement saying, due to recent events, we're just gonna we made a decision to release the show at a later time, and they didn't really provide an update. But it was supposed to premiere on September 26th, so this Friday, if I'm doing the math correctly. And the show is no longer going to come out this Friday because it features, events where extremist violence takes place within the show that you can kind of equate to some of what we have seen political violence recently in the U.S. So Apple making a decision ahead of time and just kind of like saying, oh, we're going to hold on to the show for a little longer. However, Jessica Chastain and Ben Stiller, John, have another show coming up. So she's still busy and she's very much, in the Apple TV.
And she's still in the good graces of Apple. So we're okay.
Absolutely. The off weeks, that looks like a really cool show, by the way. We've talked about it before. It's a limited series that they're going to be starring in. So, but anyway, John, your thoughts on Apple making this move, sort of preempting, and in this instance, preempting means something very different because it's not a live show. But they're taking off the Savant from their release calendar for this week and just holding on to it for a little while. I remember the other shows have done this before too. Like I think one of the seasons of Jack Ryan did this because the subject matter, the John Krasinski version, was really sensitive at the time from what was happening in the world. We've seen this happen multiple times in the past. So it's not the first, but it is interesting. So yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, Tony. It is the same thing as 9/11 didn't air Die Hard 2.
Well, it was like I remember Fred Durst was talking about like how Roland, the music video that fucking changed everything, and they filmed on top of the Twin Towers, and then that music video was never shown again because of that. Like literally, Durst was saying, so he was like on the 10th of September, he got a note from like the World Trade Center being like, "Oh, thank you for showing us off in the music video," and then the next day it happened, and then the music video was never seen on air again.
Yeah. And Tony made a really good comment there about how when 9/11 happened, Die Hard 2 was not on cable for a while either, and that going even to a more recent years, we have seen things like this happen in the past. So. But hey, Jimmy Kimmel Live, they're airing right now, and we'll come back and talk about what the monologue was all about. We're just gonna give it a few minutes to breathe. In the meantime, John, let's switch over to the MCU side of things. MCU Weekly, as we're now should probably call it MCU Daily because we do touch upon that stuff pretty much every day. The biggest story from the world of the MCU today, John, and you actually sent this into our show research chat well before I even got to it. So I want to get your opinion because I think you are more familiar with the characters. So we both found out this afternoon, as did the world, Marvin Jones III is going to be playing crime boss Tombstone in Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out next year. This is an exclusive from Deadline. Why don't you give us a little bit more information about what this is all about? And again, Marvin Jones III, he's not a stranger to movies, and he's got some iconic roles under his belt. So what do you expect from him, and how do you expect he's going to figure into what is already a really crowded movie with so many other, not only heroes, but multiple villains?
Since we know that Kingpin can't be used in the movies, Vincent D'Onofrio said that, the next best thing is Tombstone. And Tombstone is a really great character. Marvin Jones III, as you can see with the thumbnail here, he voiced Tombstone already in Into the Spider-Verse. And even though he didn't do the motion capture or voice for the Insomniac version, he does kind of looks suspiciously like him. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, added some of those features into the game. But this he famously played Tobias Whale in Black Lightning, and I will say towards the end his character got a bit annoying after a while instead of intimidating, but I think that has something to do with like CW writing and that kind of thing. But considering that this guy was initially a rapper and not really an actor, and some have great turns into acting, some don't, but I think he is a very good actor, all things considering. And I think it works with like him being, a black man who is albino, which is very much, that fits with the Tobias Whale character, but it kind of weirdly fits here as well. And honestly, well, Tombstone I don't mind because that's a villain. So Punisher and Hulk and Black Widow and all that stuff, those are other heroes. But Tombstone, I think it's a villain, so it's not as big of a deal. It's like this is just who Spider-Man is fighting. So but he goes by the name Crondon. That's who that's what he was billed as in Black Lightning. It was Marvin Crondon Jones III. But he I haven't listened to his music, but I know with this, from what I've seen of him, he is very good, and he's good at playing those intimidating roles. So I think he'll do a mighty fine job with this. And I think him playing Tombstone is pretty much near perfect, having played the role already. So it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be.
I'm happy for this turn of events. Like, this is the first addition to the cast I'm actually happy about. Instead of let's have Hulk, Punisher, and Black Widow in the movie for no fucking reason. I'm actually happy about this. We're getting a villain. We got villain news in addition to Matt Gargan. So woohoo! Thank fucking God.
Well, John, my follow-up to that would be: do you feel like now this movie is getting way too crowded? I mean, or are we basically having the same conversation at this point that we were having with Superman? We saw the movie, and while I will say that the movie wasn't the most focused film, it didn't feel overcrowded. So, how do you think Destin Daniel Cretton, who is the director of this film, is going to navigate just having, I don't know, like almost a entire Avengers worth of superheroes and then multiple villains, as per all the reports, including now Tombstone? Do you think this movie's story is going to be able to kind of give us that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man kind of a street level vibe, or are we going to get another one of those, MCU Spider-Man movies that's just packed with too much going on, seemingly, at least for both of our tastes? But with the first three movies, there just always seemed to be Spider-Man wasn't even the main character in his own movie.
Here's the thing. I let James Gunn cook. I will let Daniel Destin Cretton also cook. For now, even though I have more problems with Marvel than I do with DC, for now, I'll let them cook. For now, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, because we thought, Superman was going to be terrible and overstuffed and and look how great that was. And even though, Marvel has been extraordinarily rocky, but, with the last three movies, they got better and better and better in the eyes of the public. Brave New World was not very good. It was mainly mixed to negative. And then Thunderbolts was mixed to positive. And I would dare say, Fantastic Four was overwhelmingly positive. So that, shows something that, yes, I do still think that Kevin Feige and Bob Iger have a lot of lessons to learn with the future of the MCU. Yes. However, maybe with this being very street level and very practical, we'll actually get something worth a damn in the Spider-Man universe, since we haven't gotten anything worth a damn since the Amazing Spider-Man movies, and even then those were kind of rocky. So Aiko, you're thinking of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. That is an Elseworld story. That is that's very different from the Tombstone in the comics. Tombstone in the comics is much older than Peter. He's, I don't know, 40s, 50s, and he's a crime boss. In Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that was vastly different. That's like the first time I've ever seen Tombstone be a peer, be a student along with Peter. So yeah, I think that's what you're thinking of, but that's the exception, not the rule. Yeah. So not really, because in this world we haven't gotten Norman Osborn, or I mean, it's the same but different. It's still starkly different. And it's still because it was initially going to be MCU canon, but then they're like, no, it's better if we have our own playbox. Like Amadeus Cho, they're bringing him into the MCU, I think, soon, and they're gonna get someone older to play him. I think I could be getting that wrong, but it's still different. Yeah, that's also kind of a different way of going about it. He's usually a crime boss. In Into the Spider-Verse was also very different, because he was like a henchman. That's also very unlike Tombstone. He's usually crime boss, not quite as big as Kingpin, but still that kind of level of big, So that's what Tombstone usually is as a character. So yeah, so it's not totally off kilter that that we're getting something like this, because this is usually what it's like for the character.
I mean, do you think he's going to be the main villain of the movie at this point, or are we? This is still like maybe a secondary character at best.
I wouldn't be shocked if he was more of a background character. Like he'll be a character that is going to be introduced here, but like featured much later. You know, like maybe in Spider-Man 5 or 6, kind of like what Matt Gargan was supposed to be. But then they kind of forgot about him. But then they are bringing him back in this, so that's something. But yeah, Hammerhead is another one that's kind of similar to Kingpin, but like kind of a lower level, but still like high level boss.
Yeah, well, it looks like a good hire. I've only seen him in stuff that I've liked, so even Black Lightning had his ups and downs, but Marwan Jones the third was always a good part of that show. So with that said, John, there is some more news from Spider-Man 4, brand new day, of course. We have some set photos and video to look at now. These are describing, of course, not just describing, but showing us another look at the Punisher's tank. And while Tom Holland is on the mend with a concussion for a week, that doesn't mean they can't put a stunt double out there to do some of the work in the meantime. As you can see in this video, the Punisher tank comes rolling through, and then on the behind it, it seems like Spider-Man is meant to be sort of like hanging on to it with the web string. And then of course the way they're doing it here is they've got this sheet metal thing just dragging across, and I'm sure that's going to get composited out in post-production, cut out. And then in the movie, I'm sure that means Spider-Man is meant to be sort of just dragging his heels. I don't know if he's trying to stop the tank or if he's just trying to hang on to it. You could clearly tell that's not Tom Holland right there. He doesn't even have the mask on. This must be some kind of rehearsal shot, perhaps.
Either rehearsal or they're gonna like replace him like with a CGI.
Potentially, yeah, potentially. But and overall, John, this kind of makes it even more of a reality that yes, very much the Punisher is gonna figure into at least a few big scenes. I wonder if whatever they're filming here is connected to what we saw before in Glasgow. Like, what do you think? That's there's some connection there or no?
I mean, it's entirely possible. Yeah, this guy's sneaking with the cam. But yeah, I think this is a good thing to see. Like, even though I'm kind of sick of like, oh, let's insert all these other characters. At least with like Punisher and to a much lesser extent Black Widow, those at least make sense because they're street level. I don't know why you gotta fucking have Hulk in there. Like,
I think we're never gonna see the like an actual like Mark Ruffalo appearance anywhere public, because everything they do with the Hulk is basically CGI. He just walks into a motion capture studio, does his stuff, goes into a voice booth, says his lines, and Bob's your uncle. Unless we actually have Mark Ruffalo filming anything in an exterior setting. The last time we saw him, it was in that Shang-Chi post-credit scene, and then She-Hulk. So, and most of the time in She-Hulk, he was in like in his Hulk mode. And the scenes that he wasn't, they were clearly not shot in any kind of public spaces within cities. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then Barbecue Picnic Hulk. Yeah. Okay. I try to forget that. That's not really Skull.
Wait, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, I just oh god, it's bad memories. It's like I like the character of She-Hulk. I did not like the show. I love the character of Hulk, but I do not like where the character of the Hulk is currently at. But the reports keep suggesting we're gonna get a Savage Hulk, so we'll see. But hey, when we've seen Punisher's tank, I don't think we've seen John Bernthal on set.
I think that could be interesting because that makes sense. Because the whole thing of like they retroactively made like Gray Hulk, like when he got more angry, like Green Hulk, then it was Gray Hulk. That was like him more savage. So I could see them going with like Gray Hulk. They can maybe make that work. So
That could be one way to go about it. We did hear about that as potentially an option. Again, rumors at best, so we'll have to wait and see how it all works out. But yeah, with that said, John, we have some other Marvel news as well, because that's all the Spider-Man Brand New Day news for today. But we continue on with MCU Weekly, and now we got to talk about some other things, such as the Fantastic Four's box office run. Now that the movie is released, on I think it's on Blu-ray, is it now? Because it's out of the theaters completely,
Right.
and it's on digital, not on Blu-ray. So, John, let's take a look at where it finished up with this box office, especially compared to some of the other movies in the same multiverse saga. Fantastic Four, the Fantastic Four First Steps, squarely lands, and if you could zoom into this, in the middle of the rankings, because from the very bottom, you've got a movie that is widely considered a flop, The Marvels, definitely compared, when you look at the amount of money they spent making and marketing that movie, The Marvels was one of the rare flops that the MCU has had so far. Hi, TC24. So that's the bottom of the multiverse saga so far. Then to the very top, you have Spider-Man No Way Home. We were just talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is the follow-up to No Way Home. Made almost $2 billion, then including the re-release that they did. Deadpool and Wolverine, 1.337 billion. That came out of 2024, right? I'm not wrong in that saying that. So it's been like a year since that movie came out. The second highest grossing, certainly the highest grossing of the last few years. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and remember that almost made $1 billion. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, while certainly, at least in my opinion, not as good as the first Black Panther movie, it still almost made $1 billion with 859 million. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the finale to that trilogy, I think one of the best trilogies the MCU has ever put out, 845 million, so that also did really, really well. Thor Love and Thunder, John. Despite the fact that it's not a great movie, it's not even a good movie, 760.
It's not even a bad movie. It's somehow worse than bad. So
Hosea and not Hosea, Steven and Tony are just talking about chicken nuggets in the chat. I think I think Steven actually I should say Steven and Tony. Steven meant to say that he's eating chicken nuggets right now, Tony. So that's what that was about. But anyway, John, Fantastic Four First Steps, 520.5
right in
million.
the middle. Right in the middle. Smaggeroo in the middle.
It's the highest grossing of the year for Marvel in a year with 3 movies. You got Eternals and Thunderbolts and Captain America Brave New World, with Eternals sandwiched in between them. Both of those movies combined, Eternals and why do I keep saying Eternals? Thunderbolts and Captain America Brave New World combined made less than $800 million.
Because Shang-Chi is a character nobody fucking knows. Thor Love and Thunder was the 4th Thor movie, following what many consider to be the best Thor movie. Yeah. And then Multiverse of Madness, you had the grandiose Marvel return of Sam Raimi. And again, it was a sequel to a character a lot of people like and know. So, of course, those are going to make way more money than Shang-Chi, very weird movie to know about. Nobody's gonna Shang-Chi, what the fuck is that? Then you got people were like, Shang-Chi, I don't want to see that shit. I'm gonna go see American movies. So you have those people, and so of course it's not gonna make that much money, even though I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's just it's not gonna make as much money as, because look at all here. Outside of Captain America, look at all the ones below it and look at all the ones above it. All the ones above it, almost all of them, you have Ant-Man, 3rd Ant-Man movie, Love and Thunder, 4th Thor movie, 3rd Guardians movie, 2nd Black Panther movie, 2nd Doctor Strange movie, 3rd Deadpool movie, which is featuring an actor who's played Wolverine 10 million times, and then 3rd Spider-Man movie. All the ones below Shang-Chi, Brave New World, which is technically the 4th Captain America movie, but the first one to star Sam Wilson, so that you could make the argument that it's not really a 4th movie, and it's really a first movie with a new Captain America. Then you have Eternals, nobody cared about. Thunderbolts, nobody cared about. Black Widow, on the coattails of the pandemic, and also nobody gave a fuck about. And then The Marvels, which does not signal that it's a sequel, and it's a sequel to a character nobody cared about.
Hey, Travis.
So, I'm just saying.
Yeah, look, here's what I'll say. I think the best movie of this bunch for me was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Then I would probably put Spider-Man No Way Home after that, Shang-Chi at number 3. Thunderbolts for me would be number 4.
Hey, Dan, save it for the inevitable tier list.
You know what? Actually, great idea. Great idea, because who was saying it earlier? I think it was Movie Spot. No, Hosea was saying it. We're gonna rank these.
We're gonna save that for next tier list Tuesday. We took a break this week. We're doing Batman actors soon when this finishes at 4 a.m. So we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna, gonna go on to phase 4.
Yep. Movie Spot saying Dan and John are good chicken nuggets like from Chick-fil-A, or Popeyes, not the ones from McDonald's. Oh, okay.
I will say McNuggets nuggets are like not good, but they're like comforting because they're very different from other nuggets. So it's like like a McDonald's chicken nugget. You're like, this isn't good, but it reminds you of childhood. Like, this reminds me of a simpler time. And you're like eating it where I'm like, this is like mid, but like it's like a warm hug from an old friend. It might not be your best friend or a friend you knew greatly, but it still feels good in the end. That's my thoughts on McNuggets.
That's not how I would have described it, but sure, that works for me.
But it's just like it reminds, because like I when I was a kid, I never liked the burgers from McDonald's because they put like onions and shit on it, and I'm like, and I was always, I want a burger with nothing on it. I didn't want to do that, so I would always get McNuggets because McNuggets were great back then. And now it's just like, I remember I had them recently, and I'm like, these aren't good, but I don't mind them.
Yeah. Well, but getting back to the conversation, I mean, I love chicken nuggets. I think just even the ones you can get at home, like depending on which brand you prefer, and just warm them up. That might be a more economical option on certain days. But anyway, the point we were talking about here, John. So far, the multiverse saga, the Fantastic Four first steps, like you said, smack dab in the middle of all the movies that they've put out, Marvel has put out in this era, the current era of the MCU. But it's telling like
half. I will say this is 14 movies. It's in the top 7 rather than the bottom 7. So that's something.
It's 7 of 14. It's like 50. Yeah, it's like just above. If it was a Rotten Tomato score, it'd be like 51% or something like. Oh, ranking McDonald's food items. That's one for John more so than me, because I haven't been to. I don't know, John, if you're
I'm not a connoisseur in McDonald's. I never go to McDonald's anymore.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll have to do some research on that, Jose, because both of us need to spend more time eating McDonald's before we can talk about it. Yes. Okay. So we're gonna get it. By the way, just a quick over. I'm just gonna wrap up this conversation with the Fantastic Four first steps. Let us know what you think about its box office. Do you think it deserved more? Because quite frankly, I mean, Superman outpaced it by over 100 million, was it? $1 million?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, just about that. So, it certainly wasn't the highest grossing superhero movie of the year, but it was the highest grossing Marvel movie of the year so far. Or, well, in its entirety, because there's no more Sony Spider-Man adjacent movies coming out this year. So, 520.5 million.
We're never going to get El Muerto with Bad Bunny. Goddamn shame.
Yep.
And then we'll never get Morbius Kills God.
Dude, you know what? I will. Somebody just needs to bring a great script over to Sony and be like, Tom, as in Tom Rothman, we got an idea for you. Think about this: Jared Leto back as Morbius, and Morbius kills God. Like that's that. The movie sells itself.
God is also played by Jared Leto, because that's exactly how he views himself. Because he's literally a fucking cult leader.
I mean, and I will say,
I guess you could say in the words of Joker, he gets what he fucking deserves.
Fair enough. Hey, Travis actually has an outline for Morbius 2. That is awesome, Travis. If you can get that in front of the right people, maybe you'll have a shot. But like you were mentioning earlier, Travis, yes, the phase 1 was not really the most financially successful for the MCU, but that was also, it was setting the foundation for everything that came after. We just did a phase 3 ranking and for Tier List Tuesday a week ago, was it? And Yeah, I mean, look, all the way up till Endgame, the Avengers movies, all the Iron Man trilogy of movies, even the Captain America trilogy. I mean, they just kept going up and up. They were able to bring in the Guardians, and that at the time was a huge risk for them. And the fact that they didn't have nearly as many new character, well, they actually had a lot of new character introductions in the multiverse saga so far. They just haven't had a lot of follow up. And the fact that we were talking about just the 14 movies, there's like even more TV shows seemingly that they put on Disney Plus, and a lot of them nobody has seen or most people haven't seen. So, but hey, howdy to M2G, and just want to let you guys know where we are in the show right now. So after MCU Weekly, we have to get into the Alien Earth review that John is gonna give us. But before we even do that, we'll have some trailer reactions. Welcome to Dairy put out a trailer, the Bride trailer. That actually was pretty impressive for me. Then we have quick hits. Then we're going to talk about some more DC news. And after that, we got Tier List Tuesday coming up. We'll take a bit of a break, go refill our drinks, and then come back and do a Batman actors tier list. So there we go. And yes, sequels generally do better. So I'm expecting that the Fantastic Four sequel will make more money, much like Superman's, spiritual sequel, because James Gunn doesn't want to say it's a Superman sequel, but Man of Tomorrow will do more at the box office than Superman did. Exactly.
Well, one can only hope. Who knows with like merger and all that stuff.
True. Well, John, we have a couple other things from the world of Marvel before we move on from the MCU Weekly part of the show. So if you remember, guys, Marvel decided to take one episode of What If and turn it into its entire show. Marvel Zombies. Well, social media reactions have revealed a mixed response to Marvel Animation's What If spinoff. If you scroll down here, John, I believe we have some more insight into what the people are saying on social media. It's mixed for sure. Marvel Zombies is fine, but it never reaches the same heights as X-Men 97 from Josh Wilding.
I love shit like this, where it's just like, oh, it doesn't reach the heights of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Once again, proving I was right. I was fucking right. Fuck all of you. I was right. Right.
So, there's some of the reactions here. Josh Wilding from comicbookmovie.com. And John, if you keep going, I think we have a couple others we can quickly take a peek at. That's a really
I guess you could say the ideas are pretty rotten.
I am, what does it say? Michael J. Lee saying the show fails to deliver fresh ideas beyond visual shock. The stakes feel abstract rather than emotionally grounded, boiling down to a tired world ends if you don't deliver the MacGuffin. Even the voice acting comes off phoned in. I was left disengaged.
Hey, it's as bad as the Marvel Zombies comic book, man.
Damn. Wow. John, are you surprised by any of these reactions?
Not at all. I love how people are like, oh, this is going to be goated. This is going to be great. It has blood. It has Blade Moon Knight being awesome. And I'm just sitting here like, some motherfuckers like you is why Marvel refuses to progress in any shape or form, because you're giving mediocrity a fucking chance. Once again, everybody, oh my God, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. I'm just sitting here like, told you so. I fucking told you so. It looked like shit. If it smells like shit, tastes like shit, and feels like shit, take a wild guess that it's probably going to be shit. Just saying. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. You confused the N and the S, but Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. But yeah. I'm just saying.
I mean, even that review is like half positive, but they're like, there were some moments, but yeah. And you can tell a few people liked it, but it's overall, it seems like definitely a mixed reaction. Heavy spoilers, really enjoyed it. What's on Disney Plus said it's easily one of my favorite Disney Plus shows in a while. So as with everything, it depends on your taste, right? It's subjective. So Tony's like, John got DC checks in the mail. Damn. I mean, you know what? We would appreciate that, but I don't think that's.
No, we're not that lucky.
Yeah, we'll work on it. But anyway, we're trying to not be biased here. But John, we do have a couple of other smaller pieces of news. A couple of returns to the world of the MCU potentially. The very first one. Remember when Evan Peters made an appearance in WandaVision and everybody was like, "That's Quicksilver! That's Quicksilver!" He's no, he's the brother of Wanda. No, it was Ralph.
Ralph Boner.
Ralph.
They
Boner.
literally fucking strung us along for a dick joke. And you wonder why nobody liked WandaVision after that last episode. Go fuck yourselves, Disney.
Well, I think the last episode again just went too far. It was like, why do we need to turn this into a big ass MCU movie where they're witches? Like even in Harry Potter, they were like doing the whole wand off, whatever you want to call that finale thing, but they weren't like flying in the air in a circular, I don't know, like hurricane. Like it became like a Dragon Ball fight at the end of the. I loved everything about WandaVision minus that third act fight that they had in the last episode. That just wasn't, I was like, what? Really? Nothing else in the entire show like led us up to that. So, oh hey, just some geeky guy coming in hot with a super chat. We'll get to it in a second. But Evan Peters, John, was recently talking about, hey, this is what I would like to do if I wound up back in the MCU as potentially playing Quicksilver again. Especially now that we know we're getting a bunch of X-Men from the Fox universe coming back for Avengers Doomsday. I guess this is a good time. He was asked about it. Like, would you consider coming back as Quicksilver because you were in those Fox movies? And he was like, if I did, not as Ralph Boner, but like as Quicksilver proper, I'd like to, explore my relationship with Magneto a little bit more. Saying if I had such a blast playing the character, and you got to dive a little bit into his home life, as weird as it was, exploring that would be interesting, and his relationship with Magneto would be pretty cool. Now that would directly continuity, spontaneity from the Fox universe, because they only briefly hinted at the idea that Quicksilver was potentially Magneto's son, because they were like, oh yeah, my father like left my mom like when I was young, and I'm sort of just not ever gone to know him, and then never kind of addressed who his father eventually was. It kind of left it open ended. But John, do you think Evan Peters could be the Quicksilver of the MCU, or do you think they're going to go with somebody else, given that he's already played a character in the MCU, and also obviously he was in the Fox movies?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do anything in regards to this. I don't think he's coming back. I don't think they're gonna have Hugh Jackman come back. I don't think they're gonna have any of the Fox X-Men coming after like Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't think they're gonna have any of them come back. I don't even think About to Make a Name for Myself is gonna come back either. I think they're gonna have their chance here with Secret Wars. Everything's gonna get reset. Everything's gonna get combined and whatever, and they're just gonna move on with new actors. That's what I think. They're young actors, new actors, all that stuff.
That's fair. Completely fair. Well, I wouldn't mind seeing him back for the upcoming 2 Avengers movies, but like you said, I don't think it's going to happen any thing beyond that. Evan Peters probably is also aged out of the role, and like he said though, he had a lot of fun playing Quicksilver for several movies in the Fox era, and I think he was one of the best parts of some of those movies. Even in a movie with Michael Fassbender, and so many other at least the ones where Jennifer Lawrence was trying as Mystique, and Nicholas Hoult, and so many other fantastic actors. He still managed to be part of one of the best sequences. Like, remember when they broke out Magneto from the prison? Quicksilver had some of the best moments. It was kind of like the Flash as a character was not the best part of the Zack Snyder Justice League, but his going back in time or reversing time clip was probably one of the best sequences in that movie. So, but with that said, and by the way, Hosea, I will take a look at that, what you sent over to our to us on social media later. We do have to get into Just Some Geeky Guy. Hello, and your super chat saying they need to get Mike Shannon as Hammerhead, being Tombstone's right hand man, and get him to say it's the big man, even though Marvin is 5'10". You're talking about Marvin Jones III there. So we were talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day casting Marvin Jones III as Tombstone. John, what do you think about Justin Geeky Guy super chat? Asking for Mike Shannon as Hammerhead.
Michael Shannon is too fucking good for the MCU. Please don't come in. Because it would be like his performance in The Flash, where he's just like, I am here, Kara Zor-El. I'm here. I killed your cousin, and I'm here because the Codex is in you. Yeah, I'm gonna destroy the Earth and you because New Krypton needs how much fucking longer? Another fucking week of this shit. Okay. God, I
Yep.
missed
Mhm.
2013.
There are two Batman. There are two Batman in the chat. Apparently, yeah, you're right, Tony. Hosea and Justin Geeky Guy coming in with two different Batman, clearly showing their preference. But yes, Michael Shannon I think was amazing in Man of Steel. But really, one note, like who was saying that in the chat just now? Hosea, yeah, he was really one note in the Flash. I mean, didn't he say? I love how Michael Shannon is just completely honest about all of that stuff. He was like, I don't know, I showed up, I acted in front of a green screen. It was really didn't even feel like an actual movie, and then I just walked off set and never thought about it again. But I got paid, so that was pretty much. I'm paraphrasing what Michael Shannon said. Damn, somebody made an absolute Spider-Man artwork. That's what Hosea sent me. I don't know if I would. Do we want to show this on screen? Let's see. I must see if you can see it here. Oh, whoa, magic! There's the shot.
Oh, hey, see me
right there. That's absolute Spider. They gave it the Batman logo treatment.
Is that an axe?
I don't even know what that is. It looks like a medieval.
It looks like
weapon.
You ate Rhino.
Probably. Anyway, thank you, Hosea, for that. Oh God, absolute Killer Croc will be a damn T-Rex. Yeah, at this rate, yeah, at this rate. Okay.
No, he's gonna be fucking like Cthulhu or something.
Dude, I am kind of sad Billy Zane.
No, because I prefer an Lex Luthor who can actually act like Nicholas Hoult. So old guy, he should play Lex Luthor. It's like, all right, by that logic, I should fucking play Lex Luthor.
Fair enough. Well, John, there is one last MCU thing we got to talk about, and that is the potential return of Jeremy Renner, because he's sort of gone back and forth on the idea of would he ever come back to the MCU. Remember when he mentioned that Disney had or Marvel had offered him half the pay rate that he got for doing his previous season of Hawkeye, the first one, and he was like, just because I got run over by a snowplow doesn't mean I'm half the Jeremy. Like, it's like he just took that really personally. Then he went later on to say that, oh no, I think I'm gonna be back. We're working on it. There's conversations happening. And if you zoom into this article, John, he's made a few more comments recently because he was at a fan event. I think it was like some kind of a convention, and he was asked about it again, and his response was pretty interesting. If you scroll down here, the TLDR of it, I think, is pretty good summary. He said, "Look, I'll be happy to do season 2," and he was talking to Popverse, and he said, "I love the character of Hawkeye. I think there's so much for us to do. I'll always dance with Marvel. I'll always dance with them for sure, but when appropriate, when it's rocking." And Ron is here. So the show here is rocking. Hello, Ron, all the way from Canada. So, John, basically, Jeremy Renner saying he's open to the idea of coming back for Hawkeye season 2. Conversations have been had; they're ongoing. Part of what he mentioned was he's trying to get back in Hawkeye shape because I think if you have seen him in recent appearances, I think he's in that new Dead Man Tell No Tales. What is the new Knives Out movie?
Wake Up
Dead Man. Never mind. I knew that sounded wrong.
Pirates 5.
It's a Pirates movie, I know. But like Jeremy Renner's in that movie, you could tell he's not in Hawkeye shape. Not saying he looks bad. I'm just saying he's not looking like Hawkeye. Not like Clint Barton the way we last saw him in the previous season of Hawkeye. So it looks like he's working on getting himself back, and that's part of the conversation. But he's certainly more open to it than ever, and it seems like at least the pay issue, the really low ball offer they made him has potentially been sorted out. So what do you think is the likelihood that Jeremy Renner at this point actually makes a return as Hawkeye? Do they even need him for season 2 of Hawkeye, or isn't why am I forgetting her name right now? The Josh Allen's significant other, Haley Steinfeld. Isn't Haley Steinfeld a great Hawkeye that we can move forward with? What do you think?
Sure, but I don't know. It's just I think he was initially pissed, and then once things kind of smoothed over, he's like, I mean, I still. Here's the thing: you could still be mad at somebody for paying you shit, but like at the same time still enjoy doing the job. And with that, I think, it's a whole it's I think it's more nuanced. I think people will see like, oh, he's backpedaling, he's doing this, but I think it's more nuanced. He's been part of this company under contract for many years. He's like his co-stars, he's like doing these movies, but at the same time you can be pissed for like, not being paid that well and thinking you deserve more, and wanting the money you want. So, I get like, oh, but like he's a millionaire, he doesn't need it. But like I think it's the principle of it all, I think it's also that as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, it's like, make a comparison, right? Like if you are somebody who was a crucial part and a starring player in like the best era for your company, whatever job you're in, and you were given a lot of credit for it. You were one of those, like in the Avengers Endgame credits, he was one of those OG Avengers that got like that huge send off with the signature and everything. Then they tell you, oh, why don't you take like a 50% pay cut, and then we can do Hawkeye season 2. I mean, like they basically have taken him from the movies after not giving even Black Widow. Even Black Widow got her own solo movie. However successful or not successful it was, and all the stuff that went behind the scenes with the lawsuit, and it was a COVID era release and all that. But Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye is the only OG Avenger, John, that has never. I mean, outside of the Hulk, but I feel like the Hulk situation is sort of this unique thing because he's there's got some rights issues there where Disney does not want to share revenue with Universal, but Hawkeye has never had a solo movie, and he's got a TV show where he was basically passing the torch. So I'm like, the least you can do is pay the man at least even terms from what you did the last time he was on in your universe, and if not like an upgrade. Usually the number goes up, like when you're there for a lot longer. And Jeremy Renner looks like he was recently at TIFF, so he's back on track with his career. Mayor of Kingstown, he's in Wake Up Dead Man, he's doing a lot of other things. I would love to see him back in Hawkeye season 2, a potential season 2. And I certainly hope he gets paid what he's worth, which right now Marvel is literally leaning heavily as they possibly can on all the nostalgia. I feel like of all the OG Avengers, Tony's dead, Natasha's dead, Hulk is missing in action usually, or just not the Hulk we remember. Steve is gone. I guess we'll see what things look like in Avengers Doomsday.
Off people, goddamn.
I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, and Thor, by the way, switches his haircut from the long hair to the short hair every other movie. But Chris Hemsworth isn't. His Thor isn't in the best of graces with the fans after Love and Thunder. So I feel like Clint Barton is probably the most likable Avenger that's still alive canonically, and I mean, of all the franchises that Jeremy Renner had that was primed to take over, like the Mission Impossible franchise and the Bourne franchise, his most successful franchise role is still Hawkeye in the MCU. So I would love to see him back, like play him till he's 90. I hope. And he just went through an experience where a lot of people wouldn't have come out of it, in one piece, no less able to like get back on track and get their career back to, or at least, mostly back to where it was before the accident. So I would just love to see more of him. I would really love to see more of him. And Steve Rogers might be coming back. We'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, Jeremy Renner, like you said, Tony, is amazing, awesome in Mayor of Kingstown. Go check that out on Paramount Plus. Soon to be Paramount Plus HBO, probably, maybe. We'll see. But John, with that, before we get to the movie talk madness, I sent over a few things to you in our private chat. I did want to circle back, and as I mentioned earlier, let's talk about what Jimmy Kimmel said today, especially, or specifically, Jimmy Kimmel Live has returned on air on ABC, and we were earlier just talking about how we got here and what happened today leading up to the show coming on air. The fact that a lot of people in the US weren't able to see it because Sinclair and Nexstar and Tegna all preempted the show. However, that didn't mean that the majority of the people in the US who had the ability to see ABC couldn't, they still had access, whether you had YouTube TV, whether you had a local television affiliate for ABC that was not owned by one of Sinclair, Tegna, or Nexstar. you would have seen Jimmy Kimmel Live and his monologue, John. So let's take a quick look. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but let's talk about what Jimmy Kimmel said. He returned after his suspension from ABC. This is from CNBC here. And he said, look, it was never my intention to make light of Charlie Kirk's murder. He actually teared up as he started his monologue. John, if you scroll down here, we can go through a little bit of what he said. He started off the show with a simple statement. And I think if you scroll down a little bit further here, we have more of the statement from Jimmy Kimmel saying, look, it's great to be, I'm glad to be back. And then he went on to he said, I'm happy to be here tonight specifically. It's been overwhelming. I've heard from a lot of people over the last 6 days. I've heard from all the people in the world over the last 6 days. Everyone I've ever met has reached out 10 or 11 times. He even mentioned like somebody, who fired him from his first job in Seattle, where the show was not available today, as one of the markets where it was preempted. Even he called them to check in on him. And then he also addressed the fact that he actually reached out to Charlie Kirk's family and said, look, it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it, nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, it's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. The comedian's pre-tape monologue marked the first time he had publicly addressed the matter. So as the show went on air, this monologue had already been pre-taped. So it was sort of like airing on a bit of a tape delay. But the rest of the show, of course, I think it's just finishing airing now as we're doing this live. John, he went on to say, we are back, full of love, posting a photo on Instagram. On his personal account, he posted a photo of the host with the late screenwriter Norman Lear earlier today, talking about how he was really missing him being around because he was a big mentor to Jimmy Kimmel. What do you think about the opening monologue and what Jimmy Kimmel said? Kind of addressing a lot of things in a way that didn't feel like he was attacking anybody. He wasn't necessarily walking back his comments, but he was saying, look, it was not my intention to make light of a situation where a young man got murdered, and Charlie Kirk especially. And for the most part, I think Jimmy Kimmel is pretty level-headed all around. I mean, he teared up. He got a standing ovation from the crowd.
This would not cause a walkout because he never technically apologized, but he's just saying that was not my intention. So it's kind of like not really apologizing, but at the same time being like, I didn't mean to make light of it. So,
Yeah, but the attacks continue from the president nonetheless. And if you keep going here, I think there's there was a story from Donald Trump earlier. Oh God, I just said his name. Who's like, oh, we're gonna look into some alleged blah blah blah. Like
cry some more, okay?
So it's just wild to me that the attacks continue from that side, because this shouldn't be even an issue, a partisan issue. It's political.
We shouldn't even be fucking talking about it.
Like it's like what he said. What Jimmy Kimmel said last week was not like yes, you could clearly, I guess, in this instance, take it as something that was offensive, but I just felt like the reaction was way over the top. So, anywho, well, it looks like Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air, and while yes, there are still those broadcasters that have some business with the FCC, they're still preempting the show on their local ABC station that they own. I don't think that's going to last forever, John. Do you want to take any bets on how long it is before Jimmy Kimmel Live starts airing everywhere as it used to a week ago?
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I want to say that before the end of the year is out, we're going to be back on good terms, or at least Jimmy Kimmel will be back on good terms in terms of airing across all the different ABC affiliates in the U.S. But with that said, John, it's time now to switch over to Movie Talk Madness. And today in Movie Talk Madness, we're talking about a TV show, but I gotta come up with a graphic to fix that. But before we get to Alien Earth, even, John, there's a couple of other trailers, a TV show trailer and a movie trailer that we got to talk about. The very first one is going to be It, Welcome to Derry, The show that Andy Muschietti has been spending a lot of time working on developing, marketing, producing, show running, because it's a prequel to his It franchise, and it teases that something bad is coming. It's not a terribly long trailer. The show comes out on HBO Max later this fall. What did you think about it? To me, it's in line with the movies. I'm not as big of a fan of the franchise. It's not a show that I necessarily will, be just, anxiously waiting to watch when it comes out. For me, the biggest thing about this is, if it's really good, chances are Andy Muschietti might get tied up in it more. So I do begin to wonder if, like, he hasn't yet, he may eventually drop out of Batman: Brave and the Bold, which I guess might be for the better, depending on where you land on that whole situation. But back to the trailer, what did you think about this teaser?
Oh, fucking Kino. Absolute cinema. I love the first one. I liked the second one more than a lot of other people did. I do understand its problems. It does have some weird editing choices, some weird like comedy bits that didn't fit. I felt that the CGI It spider at the end looked really fucking stupid, but I think it did do more right than people think they did. And overall, I thought it was a well done movie. I think the first was better, but most people can agree, even hardcore book readers, that the stuff with the adults is never as good as the stuff with the kids. Like the book, the miniseries, and the movies all showcase that that the stuff with the kids was always better, except for that one thing. But we don't talk about that. But I think that I liked those movies. I plan to watch the miniseries for spooky October season. I think that this is gonna be something really, really special. And I really, even though I dunk on Andy Muschietti and his thoughts about not really taking Brave and the Bold seriously, I still don't think he's the right director for the job. However, this looks really good. It's based on the interludes from the book. It looks like it's combining aspects of like the Loser Club in the 60s, kind of like how the original Losers Club was in the 50s in the original book and the miniseries, and kind of using that, but also showcasing its origins and doing stuff with that. It looks really dark. It looks really engaging. Bill Skarsgård is back. Love to see him. He did absolutely fucking amazingly as Pennywise. Like the fact that nobody thought that anybody could live up to Tim Curry, and Bill Skarsgård managed to do it with ease. Don't get me wrong, I love Tim Curry. I think the man is a fucking absolute legend. However, Bill Skarsgård blew him out of the water easily, and I think this show looks absolutely great. I hope that they can, keep going with this, and I think this is going to be something really, really awesome. I'd be happy to review it for the show if people are interested. If they're not, then we don't have to. But I'm still gonna 100% absolutely watch this. Like this is gonna be great.
Well, we should do it. We should do our weekly review. Sorry, I'm eating some bread because
no, you're good. You're
starting to get hungry.
Honestly,
here, man.
That sounds really good right now.
If I had Wonka vision, I could just pass it off to you, through the screen.
Yeah.
But hey, you're gonna be eating up the show, and it looks like we'll be talking about it. Comes out later this. Do we have a date? I forget. What's the date when it premieres?
It's October 26th.
26th. Okay. Like you said, it's Halloween time, so we'll talk about it. We can do a weekly review like we have been doing for Alien Earth, which we're gonna get to in a second. But John, before we get there, we have one more trailer to discuss.
Yeah, we do.
Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride. I know a lot of you guys were talking about it earlier in the chat. MTG was saying the trailer looked good, but it looks very, very stylistic. Hope there's good substance and story. Tony was talking about how Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, of course, comes out later this year on Netflix. Before that, it's going to be in movie theaters for a bit. The Bride, and now another Frankenstein movie too. It's the Frank Renaissance, and Movie Spot chimed in saying it's the Frank-Renaissance. John, according to the Variety here, their headline was Christian Bale as Frankenstein and Jesse Buckley, his reanimated bride, and Maggie Gyllenhaal's gritty horror Do you agree? Are we living in a Frank Renaissance? Is Christian Bale gonna once again, deliver?
I mean,
like
for
he
the
does in every
amount,
role?
for the quantity, maybe, but for the quality, hell nah. This looks like deep fucking garbage. I ain't seeing this shit.
Really? I
This
thought it
looks
was
like
I thought it looked
this
good.
looks like fucking dog shit. This just has edgy 2000s crap written all over it. So this just is proving that Maggie Gyllenhaal maybe should stick to acting instead of directing. It just looks like it looks like what a lot of directors, first timers do is like they're trying way too hard to be taken seriously, and then it just ends up looking silly. It just like it kind of reminds me of that meme. I think it was from Good Time where he was like, "You think you're better than me?" And he's like, "I am better than you." That's Maggie Gyllenhaal versus Guillermo del Toro. It's like, Maggie Gyllenhaal, you think you're better than me? And Guillermo del Toro's like, I am better than you. And this 110% proves it. I might not be a big Jacob Elordi fan, but at least, Jacob Elordi's Frankenstein isn't like hashtag damage like this fucknut is. And I love Christian Bale.
Whoa.
We are going to be talking about him later, but this just looks painfully like this looks like the worst movie from 2006, and it's just bad. Like Wolf. Yeah, I'm not seeing this garbage. This when that first image of Christian Bale was released, I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna be for me, and the trailer just truncated that. I'm not watching this. If people enjoy it, cool. This is just, I know for a fact it's not for me. This looks like all style, no substance. And it's just, it just looks like shit. It just looks like shit. I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it. There we go.
Okay. I mean, look, I enjoyed the trailer more. It's not like it blew me away, but I hadn't seen any visuals from this movie before the trailer, so yeah. I enjoyed what I saw, the visuals again. And here's the thing: regardless of what you think about Maggie Gyllenhaal as an director, I think Christian Bale as an actor has proven that he just doesn't miss. Like, even in a bad Thor movie, I feel like he was the best part. If anything, we wanted more of him, and he wasn't given as much to do. So I think this is going to be good. Is it going to be better than Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein? No, I don't think that will be the case. But is it going to be a good movie? So far, based off just this trailer alone, I am going to lean on the side of yes. But again, we have all seen some pretty banger trailers to pretty average movies, so it could just be that.
Yeah, look at him. Apparently that movie's terrible, and that had a pretty fucking great trailer, so there's that.
I mean, a lot of Sin City comparisons, John. Do you think that's a fair one? Have you seen the Sin City movie?
Well, Sin City was good, so probably not. But
Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know about the newer Sin City movies, but like the OG ones, definitely enjoyed those. But with that said, John, now that we are past the movie trailer reactions, for me, two good ones, and I know you're looking forward more to it. Welcome to Derry. You guys let us know in the comments down below. Which of those two projects are you more looking forward to? The Bride, which is a movie coming out soon. Maggie Gyllenhaal is the director. It's a gritty horror film, as they're calling it. Or It, Welcome to Derry, from Andy Muschietti, who directed the two It movies that came out in over the past, I think it was 10 years or so. And of course, he's also set to direct the next Batman DCU film, which we will talk about a little bit more later in the show. But John, now it's time. It's Alien Earth review time. So let's talk about it, shall we? This was the finale of season 1, episode 8 specifically. And well, this is where Noah Hawley chose to wrap up the story. What did you think about it? Tell us about the finale of Alien Earth. And are you excited to the show? I mean, I'm not sure if you're getting a season 2 yet, or if that's been confirmed. But yeah, tell us what you thought about tonight's episode.
So this is where it ends. So what began in August, we got the final episode of this season, and I will say it unfortunately is kind of a bust. I'm not going to go into it. This is the one where I'll be light on spoilers, but it's just like everything culminates to this. The last episode ended with Hermit electrocuting the redhead, I think Smee, no, not Smee, I think it's Nibs. No, it's Nibs. And she's like, what did you do? So now everybody's locked up and everything is culminating. Like Morrow and Hermit are stuck together. All the synths are stuck together. And they're like trying to hunt the alien on the island. Weyland-Yutani has blocked off everything from the island so they can't leave. And I think this was overall a bit of a bust. Last episode, while it was paced well, it was just it just couldn't quite get there. And I think this final episode was just it didn't pull the trigger for me. I think most of this season was pretty great. I think the first 6 episodes were really solid. They, it had that slowness of the original. It had a lot of great things that they were setting up. It had a really good cast of characters. I think Morrow and Kirsch were easily the best characters, although Wendy was also really great. I liked seeing Essie Davis, and I liked how it was very commemorative towards the first movie, and it used that sort of like 70s retrofuturism of like kind of like a blue collar grungy kind of future, and it like worked. And I liked the aesthetic. I liked where the story was going. It was how it did everything was so well done, and then it just kind of dropped the ball at the end. I won't get into major specifics, but we do get some alien action. We do get some people die, some people almost die, and the problem is it also leaves us on a gigantic cliffhanger. I think some things were played safe, even though I really didn't want them to do certain things, but at the same time I did, because then it would have been a bit more ballsy. But I think it felt something was missing. A lot of plot threads were left empty, and if this doesn't get renewed for a season 2, this shit is gonna, it's not gonna, so much is not gonna get resolved, and I hope that's not the case. I do hope it gets a season 2. I think I don't think it is slightly disappointing. I literally said at the end of the episode, I'm like, that's it? Really? That's it? And so that's kind of disappointing. Absolutely, it has a lot to say about the state of, where the world is in this alien world. It has a lot to say in regards to agency and property and humanity and all the good things that these alien movies bring up very well. But it does have some action to pull you in further. It does have some good alien action, not just the xenomorph, but other aliens as well. It does have some ballsy elements. It does have some darker elements. It's just like, be prepared for a lackluster season finale, essentially. The last 2 episodes. Because the first 6 were great, and then it kind of limps towards the finish line. I don't think it's a bad show. I think it could do even better with season 2, and maybe when this is completed, we look back on this season finale, and maybe it's not as bad if Noah Hawley has a proper plan for this. I could definitely see them having the second season, because this takes place 2 years before Alien, so I could see this takes place 2 years, the next season takes place 1 year, and then the third and maybe final season would take place when Alien is happening, and then it ends with the tease that Weyland-Yutani obviously don't get the alien, and they send out this thing for the Nostromo, get us the egg, or get us the facehugger alien xenomorph. So I think that's I think overall, I think it's I do think it was very good. It's one of those shows. For the first 6 episodes, it was great, almost excellent. But like, I would have rated it, those first 6, I would have rated like 8, 8.5. But the last 2 episodes brought it down a bit. I would rank the first season as 7.5 out of 10. It's not as good as the first, in my opinion, 3 Alien movies. I know, Alien 3 is controversial for some people because they don't like that movie. I love Alien 3. I thought it was a perfect end to Ripley's story, and I view that as a trilogy. So with that, I think this is not as good as those 3 movies. However, it's definitely better than Alien Resurrection, and I haven't seen the Alien versus Predator movies. And it's definitely better than Prometheus. So I never saw Alien Covenant and I never saw Alien Romulus, so I don't know how good those are, but yeah, I think it's good. It could have been, it was very good, but it could have been a lot better, but overall, I still recommend the show. I thought it was overall a very good show, but it just kind of shoots itself in the foot at the very end. No, it's very small scale, very personal. It takes place mainly on this island of this, of a character named Boy Cavalier, and it's not like this big epic scale like it kind of promises in the promotional material. It's more along the lines of this personal story, but maybe that is it's not like the T-Rex going through LA like in Lost World or anything like that, but it's very much smaller scale. But that could be something for the future, who knows. But I think it's very well done. I think it's overall a great show. Not great. I think it's very good. I think the first 6 episodes are great. I think the last 2 episodes are lackluster, but it's overall a very good show. So, yeah. And on the show currently went down to a 70% for the audience score, but it has remained a 95% for the critics, so there's that as well. But yeah, good stuff.
That's not bad. I mean, I guess you're not the only one who probably thought it was a little bit of a under delivering on expectations for the finale, because like the average popcorn meter is 70%. So we'll have to wait and see. Do we have any news on a season 2, or is this sort of still
no, it's totally up in the air.
Question. Well, of course, Jose, we will always try to bring questions in. And thank you, John, for keeping us up to date and giving us these fantastic reviews for Alien Earth for all 8 episodes. Noah Hawley is one of those visionary, creators and storytellers that anything he touches generally so far has turned to gold. So I was a little bit surprised to hear that, you had the reaction of that was it. Like that's it. So I'm sure, hopefully, that will be improved upon for season 2. Legion, the first season of Legion was really, for me, just so out there. I was just blown away by what they were doing with it. And then slowly you start to kind of get on board, like, okay, all right, they're not trying to like just blow our minds each and every episode. Season 2, I think, was much more even in that sense. So maybe season 2 of Alien Earth will kind of just pick up the pace a little bit, go a little bit further. And I like where your head's at, John, with what you'd like to see with the rest of this franchise. Do you think Noah Hawley could take on a movie as well in the Alien franchise? Or do you think
he should stick to TV, because the last time he did a movie didn't turn out that great. So I think he should stick to the television series.
All right. Okay. Well, with that, guys, let us know in the comments down below. What did you think about Alien Earth Season 1? 8 episodes down. The season is over. Second season is TBD, I suppose. They haven't quite given it a green light yet. So we'll have to wait and see when, if or when we're going to get that. But if you liked it, tell us your rating in the comments down below. Hosea is asking, can we expect Gen V reviews? John, I don't think you're a big fan of the Boys franchise, so I'm not sure if you're watching Gen V.
No, I'm not watching that. I gave up after season 3 of The Boys. I'm just like, nah, fam, not for me.
Well, I have heard that one of the main characters in Gen V could potentially star in the last season of The Boys, because they're building her up to potentially take down Homelander, which I would tune in for that. But I unfortunately, Jose, I don't know if we're going to be doing weekly reviews. If anything, we might do a full season review at the end of season 2 of Gen V. But hey, Monique, how are you doing? Tuesday, Wednesday to you all. Yes, it's the clock is crossed midnight for us on the East Coast. Jimmy Kimmel was on air just hours ago, or less than an hour ago, and we talked about that earlier in the show. You're welcome to rewind and take a look at that. However, John, as we usually do, before we wrap up the news segment, we have to talk about the quick hits. So why don't you walk us through the fun part of the new? Well, I guess it's fun. All parts of the news are fun, hopefully, but certainly the quick hits are always some of the funnest parts.
Also, a little bit of a jump scare, so be careful when we open up quick hits, because the first image is, I don't know why they picked that for the thumbnail, but sure, just be careful.
Be warned, and thank you for the warning, John. Let's get into the quick hits, shall we?
So, first things first.
Yikes.
We'll keep this quick, but Zach Krieger has confirmed that he is working on an Aunt Gladys prequel movie, the main villain from Weapons, and he said it's real. I've been talking to Warner Brothers. It's not bullshit. However, it's not greenlit either. He's just working on the script right now, and he just needs to get the okay from Warner Brothers to go forward with it. Thoughts? I don't think it's necessary, but Zach Krieger hasn't given us a shitty movie so far, so I'm happy with whatever future stuff he has. I'm more excited for his Resident Evil movie, and I hope he sticks more with that. But yeah, I don't think we need this. And anyway, let's move on because I don't want to look at this anymore. Anyway, Harry Potter. Harry Potter set photos and video reveals our first look at a mysterious wizard meeting. Hashtag Wizard Illuminati.
This is one of those moments that seems like we didn't get it in the movie because they were just like, we only got 2 hours here. But with 8 episodes, you can really dive into it.
Yeah, but it was the excerpt was from the. I remember this too, celebrating that he who must not be named was dead, and Vernon going to work and seeing all these strange people out in the world, and and that whole thing. I remember that was the first thing that was introduced with.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I mean, my knowledge of the franchise is more limited to the movies, that I've not read especially the early books in a long time. But I'm looking forward to it, John. We should all probably do a rewatch of the Harry Potter movies, because that would make.
Or we could just not.
Just
remember that they were great movies, and then just leave it at that.
Yeah, you are right in the fact that they often say comparison is the enemy of joy. So in that sense, maybe it's just better to watch the TV show for just what it's gonna be. Hopefully good. We'll just have to wait and find out. But yeah,
here's
Yep. Some of the
excerpt from the beginning.
It looks like the 90s. It looks like you got Vernon Dursley there, the tiny man in the violet cloak there, right there. Looks fun. It looks Harry Pottery. Definitely looked like the 90s. I love the extra. It's just always fun watching.
Well, technically, this would be the 80s, because
80s,
this was back when he was a wee little baby. This was when Voldemort died.
That's right.
Initially, so.
All right.
But yeah.
Okay. Let's keep on going.
But next up, we have from one YA novel series to another, with spoilers and photos. But apparently, we get a reveal at Joseph Zada's take on Hamish Abernathy. So, yeah, interesting.
Of course, Hamish Abernathy is replacing Woody Harrelson. As not just replacing, he's taking over the character, playing the younger version of him. Who in the Hunger Games, we knew he was one of those older victors of the games from back in the day, and of course, it plays a big role in the Revolution. So, yeah, there's not really the actor himself on set, but just
kind of like how we saw Ralph Fiennes as a first look, but it was really just a poster. Yeah, that's what this is.
Exactly. Hey, JC, how you doing? Yeah, it's a good question if any of these reboots and reimaginings will survive the buyout, but I imagine since these are really popular properties like Harry Potter, they're not going to go away. And if there's something in progress, whoever buys Warner Brothers will likely not kill them immediately. So, but hey, Hunger Games: Sunrise and the Reaping. I know this is going to make money because even the last movie, which I was like, who's going to make, an effort to go watch this in theaters? What was it? Songs of Birds and Snakes, and it was this
Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It was arguably one of, if not the best Hunger Games movie. Like straight up.
I did not think the trailers really sold me on it. I mean, it's a better movie than the trailers, made it seem like. So, however, I will say the Hunger Games. I for the first time watched the entire trilogy just a couple of years ago, and I think it's better than I thought. Than I got the impression it was years ago. It's certainly a lot better than the Twilight movies. So, if you guys are fans of young adult novels, then clearly it's not Harry Potter level, but it's good. It's good.
And I would say it's better. And Suzanne Collins isn't a piece of shit. So there's that as well.
Damn. All right. Well, agree to disagree on the quality of the movies at least. But yeah, let's keep on going.
Oh boy, here we go.
Hey, there's a man. Oh,
here we go.
Preach, John. Preach.
But John Boyega was talking about how he would have done Star Wars, and it would have actually been good, probably, because Disney is allergic to making good Star Wars movies. Ooh, I said it. So, yeah. He had a lot of stuff to say in regards to this. He would have been completely different, and he had pretty much all of this, and I'm not reading all that, so, like, you guys... But essentially, like, what fans would have wanted to see from these movies,
Yeah. I mean, we all wanted him to be, a Jedi by the end of the trilogy, because that's where J.J. Abrams was
like literally haters, lovers, racists. Everybody can fucking agree that John Boyega should have been a fucking Jedi by the end of this goddamn trilogy. Like, goddamn. Bullshit.
No, I agree. I definitely think. Did you say racist? Okay.
Yeah, because it's just like, I think even fucking racists who would like hate black people would say, you know what, this motherfucker should have been a
Fair
Jedi.
enough. Fair enough. Yeah. A stormtrooper turned Jedi. Dude, that was the arc. I don't care what was going on in The Last Jedi. First of all, Kelly Marie Tran, amazing actress, a beautiful actress. They should have kept her in a prominent role in the third movie, because you know what? Okay, I'm gonna go off on a whole tangent now, because it's all about, like, J.J. Abrams did a great job setting up, despite the fact that he's not my favorite filmmaker. The Force Awakens was great. It was a lot of nostalgia. It felt like it was repeating a lot of the
plot points. The safe
but it was
bet
good
to make.
But it was fun. It was fun. The Last Jedi had a lot of like ups and downs, and I don't agree with everything that happened in the movie, but it took the Star Wars universe in a new direction, with the idea that, hey, Rey could be just anybody. She doesn't have to have some special lineage, because the future of the franchise depends on it. If the whole franchise will always revolve around how you need to be the chosen one with some royal heritage, then you can't really expand Star Wars beyond the core, Skywalker saga. So I even was like, okay, I get it what Rian Johnson was trying to do. Maybe he didn't agree with every decision he made. But then J.J. Abrams came in and completely butchered everything. He didn't even go back to, addressing the plot points he set up in his own previous Star Wars movie in Force Awakens. Not to mention, completely undoing some of the key moments that I thought were some of the better parts of the Rian Johnson Last Jedi, despite the fact that it wasn't the best movie. But clearly, everybody has talked about this before. I would have loved to see John Boyega, who was hinted at as being Force sensitive in the Force Awakens, become an actual freaking Jedi by the end of the third movie.
Just igniting the lightsaber,
yeah,
peak cinema.
Exactly, Monique. Everyone is special, or as what was his name in Incredibles, the villain? I keep forgetting his name every time.
Syndrome.
Syndrome.
If everyone's super, no one will be.
Exactly, Monique. Thank you. Anyway, I knew this was gonna get me riled up. Let's keep on going.
Let's move on. Insidious 6. Blumhouse of Sony's Insidious sequel adds Voltron's Laura Gordon. Do you care?
She looks like I don't know. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Anyway,
I haven't seen the Voltron movie.
Mark Ronson to score Greta Gerwig's Narnia adaptation for Netflix. Do you care?
Mark Ronson's great. It certainly puts this movie in a different light. Are we gonna get more of a what she did with Barbie? Maybe
it's gonna be garbage. That's all we know. Anyway, moving on.
Cool.
Baywatch reboot ordered at Fox for 2026 to 2027 season after the failed reboot with Zac Efron and The Rock. I guess they're going back to TV.
I forgot
now,
that was a thing. I totally forgot that was a thing. Oh my god.
So I think most people did. So Dan, would you watch this?
I mean, if they bring back the Hoff, he's still kicking
Unlikely.
around. And Pamela Anderson, come on now. I mean, well, they don't need to be lifeguards, but they.
You know what they need to bring? You know who they need to bring back? They need to bring back Jason Momoa. He was on Baywatch at one point.
Sure. Yeah.
If you see young Jason Momoa on
dude, Stargate Atlantis, yes, I loved him in Stargate Atlantis. Or
no,
even
but he was on Baywatch for a little bit, and he's like, I have refused my kids from watching Baywatch with me in it because fuck that. So him coming back would be funny.
That would be the ultimate irony. Yeah, there you go.
Anyway,
love to see
next
it. Baywatch, baby.
Crunchyroll CEO on the blockbuster implications of Demon Slayer Infinity War. It's now undeniable how big anime has become. Yeah, no fucking shit, Sherlock. I could have fucking told you that, idiots.
Dude, it is insane though. That movie has made $555 million and it's still making money. And there's like 2 more films in the trilogy. It's now become literally, as they say in this article, one of the core.
Thank you. Yes, Baywatch Hawaii. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's what it was. That's the one that Jason Momoa was in.
Tony wants Sydney Sweeney in that show. I'm sure Fox would love that too. But dude, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is the first of 3 movies, and it's made more money, by the way, than the Fantastic Four First Steps did. Like more than 30 million more than the Fantastic Four did. Look at that for context. This Demon Slayer movie has made more money than 3 Marvel movies this year. And it probably will end up with just about the same amount of money, if not more than what Superman made. That's huge. Like, Sony must be wondering why they didn't spend more money doing this earlier, instead spending all that money on those Spider-Man movies.
And it's just going to show, I feel like there might be an explosion for something. Like, other companies are going to buy up, anime stuff, because it can make
everybody wants it on the new hot trend, and I feel like it's gonna happen. You're gonna see other because I have a feeling this is gonna be similar to what happened with the Spider-Verse movies, right? The first movie comes out, changes how every studio wants to animate their movies, and now we're getting some wonky results as a result of that. But sometimes the movies are great, sometimes they're not so much. Like that last Puss in Boots movie was amazing. Used a similar animation style, and it was I think a better looking movie than the first Puss in Boots film. It was a better way.
Yeah, I mean, too. I think that we are going to get a lot of. I think they're going to see that this is what. But here's the thing: when it becomes popular, it's going to lose everything that made it good in the first place, and it's probably going to become they're going to wear out the trend after 10 or 15 years, and then they're going to go on to the next thing. Well, all the fans are just going to be like, well, there goes that. So
yeah, there comes John with the hard-hitting reality of, I hope not the future of anime, but it's certainly growing in popularity worldwide. I mean, granted, most of the money that this movie has made, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, is in the North American and Japanese market, but those are the 2 biggest markets. However, the popularity of anime is expanding elsewhere as well, and Ron disagrees with you, John. But Crunchyroll, of course, is a big part of Sony, is becoming a bigger and bigger part of it, and one of the core growth engines now that it's making. They've got a 500+ million theatrically released anime on their hands. That's huge. Like I said, made more money than even Fantastic Four, might even catch up to Superman's box office. That's crazy to think about. That's crazy. Yeah, and their marketing was amazing. Anyway, let's keep on going.
Next,
manga actually could be. Well, go ahead. Sorry. Bill Nye the Science Guy, John. What do we got?
Yeah, he's getting a Hollywood Walk of Fame. He's getting a star along with Jaylen Brown. So
yeah, he was he mentioned that Bill Nye was one of his biggest inspirations. Jaylen Brown is a really intelligent dude. Like, he's not just a basketball player. And he was one of several people who was there, one of several celebrities there, showing their support for Bill Nye. Well deserved, I thought this was. Getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame because he's one of the most iconic science communicators of all time. Like, everybody knows Bill Nye the Science Guy. So
yeah,
I'm just
even though,
glad
fun fact, Dolph Lundgren is more qualified to be a scientist than Bill Nye. Because he has more doctorates, and he has more degrees in different sciences than Bill Nye does. Fun fact.
Okay, that is but that's, I don't think what made Bill Nye great is not the degrees he has, but it's the way he has been a science communicator and just been an outspoken voice in the science communication field. Like, you have all these YouTubers like Veritasium and who, like, I'm trying to think of other ones now. And Veritasium certainly is a big example of it. Before them, there was Bill Nye the Science Guy. Even before Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye was doing his thing. So, absolutely. Ivan Drago, the world's deadliest scientist. Indeed. Okay.
Yes. But next up, Joshua Zatumer, Spec Pagans, lands at Netflix with straight-to-series order after massive bidding war. It is a supernatural drama spec script by Say Nothing creator Joshua Zatumer, and it triggered a huge bidding war, and Netflix emerged victorious, which, you know, let's hope that's not the case with WB
giving a straight-to-series order. Yeah. So they're not even saying do a pilot. They're like, you got a whole series order right now. And up to 18 studios competed for this job. And what's the story about?
Pagans follows a man who becomes the sole caretaker of his two children after the tragic loss of his wife. While his son is typical, his daughter Alice is anything but. What starts as a strained father-daughter relationship soon evolves into something far more sinister, equal parts emotional, horrifying, and humorous. Pagans uses genre to unearth all the dark thoughts that parents have, the kind of thoughts mom and dad are never supposed to talk about. So,
that sounds interesting. Is this something that would be right up your alley, or?
It sounds interesting. I would have to see a trailer though.
Cool. All right, let's keep on rolling.
But I don't know if you had anything more to say. Sorry.
No, that's
but Crazy
that's
Legs features enlists Melis Acker to pen Prince biopic, The Most Beautiful, based on Maite Garcia's memoir. Okay.
This is the Prince. We talked about this before. The Prince biopic. Yeah. They've got a writer on their hands. That looks good to me. Sounds good to me.
Cool, I guess. I mean, I'm not a big Prince guy, so cool to the people that care.
Rain.
I don't really. But next up, we got R.L. Stein's Pumpkinhead, not the Pumpkinhead with Lance Henriksen, but we got R.L. Stein's Pumpkinhead. Apparently, a movie is landing October release. Tubi is set to launch Tubi. Ooh, not a good sign. Set to launch director Jem Gerard's film that is inspired by Arthur Stein's The Haunting Hour. So it is going to be, it's a Tubi original feature, which you know it's probably not going to be good, on October 17th. To be fair, I love Tubi. Tubi is great. It is a treasure trove of finding weird, obscure, great horror movies. However, when it's usually a Tubi original, it's not good. So I'm just saying.
Say. To be fair, I don't really watch Tubi very much. Enough of the Tubi.
I would say
fun.
Use Tubi because Tubi is fucking great.
Well, I do every once in a while, because like every once in a while I'm looking for a movie that's some obscure film that is nowhere else, but like Tubi has it, or what's the other one? There's
Pluto
Tubi
TV, Roku. They're usually good.
Tubi is owned by Fox and Pluto's owned by CBS. So there you go. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, they do. I mean, because that's where a lot of things end up. Like, I think, what was that big show on HBO that got canceled? The one about like the future. It was Westworld. I think that's on Tubi or Pluto now. Like, so HBO, they took it off HBO, put it there. So yeah, so there's some good stuff there. All right.
And then we move on to the last bit. James Roday Rodriguez directs 2 episodes of High Potential in reunion with Spike EP Todd Harthan.
Cool. You know what? I love James Roday. I love me a little bit of Psych. I actually have a new Psych apron that is in a box somewhere over there. So when I'm cooking in the kitchen, I'm gonna have that on, and it's all the "Come on, son, I'm proud of you," and all these other, Psych quotes and notations, because James Roday Rodriguez has gone from being just an actor to now also a TV director, working with the showrunner, one of the show executive producers from Psych, Todd and Arthur. I can't wait for them to do more movies. They did like 3 movies on Peacock, and obviously the show ended a while ago. But Psych is one of my favorite shows. I am definitely a psycho, is what they call the fans of the show. So I'd love to see him reunite with Dule Hill, and give me more Psych. I want more Psych. Probably one of the best shows the USA Network ever put up. So. Oh, and M2G, by the way, Freebie. I think Amazon kind of killed it recently. I don't think Freebie really exists anymore. But anyway, Tubi and Pluto do exist. But the question is, to be or not to be, John?
Well, I can tell you what's not to be is these damn quick hits, because we're all done. So now we got to move on to the illustrious DCU Daily. The amount of story.
Here's the thing. Today's about quality over quantity for DC. But before we get there, guys, let us know what you thought about all the other news, the Jimmy Kimmel stuff we talked about, all the quick hits. Of course, we talked about a lot of Marvel news with Tombstone being cast in the new Spider-Man movie. And beyond that, we got into a bunch of to be talk, to be or not to be. That is the question. Why don't you let us know in the comments where you land on that one? Trunks and capes time, though, John, as Ron was saying. And with that, let's get blessed, because that's what James Gunn likes to do for us each and every time.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
All right, welcome on into DCU Daily proper. There's some good stuff to get into today. Like I said, it's about quality, not quantity, John.
One stuffs, and that's kind of it.
Let's dive into it, shall we? The big news today from the world of DC is, James Gunn finally addressed in a little more detail. I think we kind of went over a little bit of a nugget of what he said yesterday, but I wanted to kind of go through a lot of the meat of of the conversation, where he was doing a podcast recently, as James Gunn does all the time, and he was talking about his approach to casting the next Dark Knight, John. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about it. I believe we have an article here, on movieweb.com. James Gunn gives his biggest Batman casting update so far. If you scroll down here, let's
Robert Pattinson. Y'all can fucking keep your dicks in your pants. No, he's not coming to the DCU.
Is he not? Is it not? Are you sure? Let's get into what James Gunn said specifically. If you can zoom into this, he was interviewed by the Ringerverse, or with on the Ringerverse, and James Gunn was asked like, "Hey, what's going on with like the casting of Batman?" And James Gunn had some interesting stuff to say. And he started off by saying, "Do I have ideas about actors to play Batman? Absolutely, I do. I have guys I like. I have guys that are at the top of the list, just like I had people that were at the top of the list for Superman. But let me tell you something. They aren't David Cornsweet, right? They didn't get the job. People can guess, and maybe they'll be right about certain things. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about specifically. It's totally up in the air." So James Gunn kind of saying, yes, I do have maybe some people in mind, but it's really up in the air. Now, John, just focusing on that for the moment, because we will get into the rest of what James Gunn said in a second. What do you think about the idea that James Gunn has a few people in mind? Because obviously, when he talks about Millie Alcock, he was like, I saw her in Game of the House of the Dragon. I was like, she's the one. She's the one. And he has called her like probably his best casting to date. of his career. He loved David Cornsweet. They did some, chemistry testing with Rachel Brosnahan. They were the winners who in the end got the roles. So James Gunn has been basically batting a perfect average of 1,000 when it comes to casting so far in the DCU. Everybody loved Mr. Terrific. People for the most part loved Hawkgirl and Lex Luthor. Of course, we can't talk about Lex Luthor without getting into the iconic performance from Nicholas Hoult. So where do you think James Gunn lands on the spectrum with regards to the Batman casting? Because
it depends if he took Tylenol, Dan. But that's beside the point. I think you're talking about a different spectrum, though.
We're not getting political here, but I'm just gonna say James Gunn seems to have somewhat of a short list. He's saying don't lean on the idea that I'm gonna pick from that list of actors. Do you think he's got some big ones in mind? Because he did kind of expand on what he was saying earlier, the whole process of casting. But before we get to that, I want to hear from you, like what your thoughts are on James Gunn's just his tendency to kind of go with people either he's familiar with, has worked with before, or a certain list of names.
To be fair, he's never worked with David Cornsweet before, or Rachel Brosnahan before, Nicholas Hoult before. So, the big three he never worked with before. And I don't think he wants to throw away, especially someone as big as Batman, on like, oh yeah, make it Chris Pratt. Yeah, Dave Bautista, make it Rainn Wilson. Like, I don't think he's going to throw it to the wolves just because he likes to work with people. I think yeah, sure, he's worked with Nathan Fillion before, but at the same time, Nathan Fillion is fucking pitch perfect as Guy Gardner, and there's a reason he was chosen for that. Like, if you look at the extensive list of people that were in Superman, yeah, he's worked with a lot of these people, like Michael Rooker and Clementine robot voices. Like, they were not, yeah, he liked to work with them, but he's not going to put them in something substantial. I think, he's never worked with Millie Alcock before. He's never worked with, all these other people before. And I think it shows that he cares more about the source material and what he's doing and wants to create a good movie or show than just I want to work with this person again. I want to work with this person again. I think he's smarter than that, and he's more aware of how he wants to do it and what the people want. So, in the words of Joker, we got to get at the people what they want. I just think, I just think there's more to it. I'm going to pick someone again. I think and it's Batman. The house that Batman built is DC. So, it's something, and I think it's something more. It's something more than just James Gunn wants to work with this guy again. I think he's gonna take it seriously and not just insert anyone.
Hey, Dark Elite Eric. Yeah, I mean, and like I was saying earlier, and Eric is saying here too, his casting so far has been impeccable, and that's because he goes through a tedious process, John. Like you said, he's very well aware of the culture of superhero movies and comic nerddom, and he is one of us in a lot of ways, and that's why he's very much aware that there will be a lot of people who will criticize things, but at the end of the day, so far he has not missed the mark, and he picks the best people for the job. So at least from everything we have seen from his superhero movie making career. John, if you zoom into this next quote, though, he talked more about the process for casting Batman is really extensive, which is perhaps why we haven't seen it. And the way he talks about it makes you wonder, maybe they haven't gone all that far in the process. And if you could zoom in on this a little bit more, he mentioned why maybe we don't yet have a DCU Batman. We would have to screen test. He said we'd have to do the whole thing. The whole thing, I imagine, is what they did with Superman and Lex Luthor and Lois Lane and everything for the movie that we saw this year. James Gunn said it's unlikely that I'm going to hire someone that's like Sylvester Stallone as Batman, aka an A-lister, where we're just hiring him. It's unlikely that Batman's going to be one of those guys. James Gunn continued saying but it's possible. I know one actor in particular who's a pretty big star who wants to be Batman. We've talked about it, but I'm not sure that's the case. Now, my question to you would be this, John. He says a big star, and immediately your mind would go to Alan Ritchson.
Talking about.
like, could it be Alan Ritchson? Because Alan Ritchson's addressed the fact that he's talked to James Gunn, and then he made it seem like he probably won't get Batman, but he might get something else. So could it be that, or could it be somebody else? I was gonna say, just maybe suggest, could it be one of the other guys like we suggested in our Batman fan casting? If you remember, you've got three people right here: Jake Gyllenhaal,
Brandon,
Brendan Sklenar, Jensen Ackles. And then when we go past that, we even suggested Anson Mount and Oliver Jackson Cohen, who ended up thinking would be the best pick when we did this Fancast Friday. Speaking of which, guys, this was episode 6, or episode 1, actually. Episode 1 of Fancast Friday, if you're looking for it on the channel. We did the DCU Batman fan casting. John, do you think James Gunn is going to pick from this list, or are these just two ideal set of picks? And because we do know for example, Jensen Ackles has been fan cast for a long time, and a lot of fans not only have wanted to see him, but he also knows that fans want to see him. But Jake Gyllenhaal has also said publicly after, Roadhouse, that he would love to play the role. So could any of those names be on James Gunn's mind, or was it Alan Ritchson he was talking about? Who does he go with? Who would you think? Does it need to be an A-lister? Could he go with an unknown?
Pick someone who's good for the role. That's it.
Fair enough. Somebody said Tom Cruise in the chat? Who said Tom Cruise? Oh, Dark. Okay. Got it. That's a shot in the dark. I will say, though, historically speaking, with few exceptions, you have, or not you, but we in general have had A-list stars playing Bruce Wayne. Like Ben Affleck was.
Although they do spell Alan Ritchson's name wrong. Richardson.
Oh, God.
Guys, proofread your shit. Come on, man.
Wasn't there somebody else who spelled, what was it, David Zaslav? I think yesterday we were talking about this.
Yeah, it was like SCASLAV. Like, guys, come on.
Yep.
It's a 2-second Google search. Come on. Jesus.
Jose is like, you could.
Who knows?
I mean, this is a good question by Jose, though. What do you think the age range of casting choices for Batman will be?
I don't think they're going to go younger than 35. Because that's really as far as you can go by having like a young Bruce do the with Talia, make Damian, and then, that's something for later on. So
that's fair. Christian Bale was not an A-lister.
Exactly. I would say Michael Keaton wasn't. Val Kilmer, I would say the biggest at the time of casting, Val Kilmer was probably the biggest out of all of them.
I mean, no, Ben Affleck was pretty big when he got cast. No, am I wrong?
Yeah, that's true. Him, Ben Affleck, and to a lesser extent Robert Pattinson. Those were like the biggest stars, because Michael Keaton wasn't. He was but known for like comedies. George Clooney was not an A-lister yet because he was only known for ER. So,
Good point by Ron, though. The two times they did cast, proper A-listers, but with George Clooney and Ben Affleck.
Here's the thing: George Clooney was not an A-lister yet. He was still just on ER. And
that's okay.
Batman and Robin, ironically, was the push for him to go into the mainstream as a movie star. So, and then like 4 years later, he did Ocean's 11, which exploded his career.
Absolutely.
So that was essentially, a lot of people think, oh yeah, George Clooney's been like this huge star I mean, he's been a huge star for like the entirety of this century, for the past 25 years. But like, a lot of people think he's been around for 30, 40 years. Then no, it was Batman and Robin that really got him, especially that was at the tail end of the 90s. So,
I mean, not to mention, we talk about Robert Pattinson, the most recent casting for Batman. You wouldn't say was an A-lister necessarily, but I think now he's elevated himself to that level. But when he was cast for it, everybody was like, he did Twilight movies back in the day, because most people did not see a lot of his, really good independent films that he was doing, these small, Oscar caliber films. But, all of a sudden he becomes Batman, and everybody's like, oh, Robert Pattinson, he's actually a great actor, even though, if you didn't see like the Lighthouse, and a few like
Lighthouse, Good Time, a lot of really good movies he's done.
Yeah. Absolutely. I guess what I should have said earlier is a lot of the actors who end up playing Batman become A-list stars because of how big of a character and the role. It's one of the top 3 roles in all of Hollywood that you could get cast for, between Batman, Spider-Man, and James Bond. Like, those are some of the most iconic, roles that you could get cast for. And of course, we do have a Superman already. It's now a question of if you're going to get a Batman soon. James Gunn saying, though, it looks like they still have to do all the work. Like, they have to go through all the casting steps, such as, they don't even have a short list. And yes, James Gunn might have a few names in his mind, but in typical James Gunn fashion, he was saying, look, yeah, I may have a few names in mind, but for all we know, I'm not going to pick one of those guys, because I think one of those guys might be a good fit doesn't mean I'm going to give them a free pass. Even if he wants Chris Pratt to play Batman, Chris Pratt is going to have to do screen testing, is basically what he's saying. So there you go. With that, though, guys, let us know in the comments what you think about.
Speaking of Batman casting and Batman actors, we got to get into that for Tier List Tuesday.
Absolutely. And as a throwback to what we were just talking about, if you guys didn't get a chance to see it, shameless plug, we did the definitive DCU Batman fan casting already. It was episode 1 of Fancast Friday. We have another Fancast Friday coming up this Friday. The poll for that is up in the YouTube community chat, so you guys can go check that out on the channel. In the meantime, don't forget to hit the like button on this show, and then give us like 15 minutes. Go get a bathroom break, grab a snack or two, because like John, you mentioned, we have a Tier List Tuesday ranking Batman actors, specifically all the Batman actors who got a theatrical released film, coming up in a few minutes after this show. So as DCU Daily wraps up, we will give you a full dose of Batman, another dose of Batman with a Tier List Tuesday. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be some debating going on. So, Tony, I'm sure you're going to be in the chat, enterprising. We got Dark Lead Eric watching right now. So many of you guys in the chat. Bane will break you, I'm sure, will come in to drop his favorite Batman. So, all y'all, Hosea, Monique. Oh, you know what? That might be it. You might have given away what Bane's favorite pick might be. And of course, as always, in Tier List Tuesday, you guys will be able to vote on your own version of the tier list. So we're going to put up the link for that in the live chat.
Hey, Ron, we don't besmirch the name Adam West in this fucking house. Let's get that through your fucking thick Canadian head. We don't besmirch Adam West in this goddamn house, all right? Let's just don't. I'm going to go Bane on you. I'm not going to be breaking the bat. I'm going to be breaking the Ron. So you better watch out. Do not besmirch the name West in this house, okay? Just got my fucking eye on you, fucker. I got my eye on you. Anyway.
And on that note, John, as we usually like to say, we were blessed at the end, and just like we were blessed in the beginning. So we'll see you guys in a few minutes on Tier List Tuesday. Don't forget to tune in. Batman actors is the topic of the night. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Until then, goodbye.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go. Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka, hunka.
Fuck Jeff Snyder. Bum, bum, ba-da-da.